the purpose of government. If you've read the Declaration of Independence, it tells you life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The purpose of government is to allow us to achieve that through self-reliance. I ran a large company during the 70s and 80s, which was a time similar to today's. I had a very simple business plan, and I stuck to it. At times of adversity, I had attorneys and accountants who told me I should do things differently. But I was successful because I stuck by that business plan. The Constitution of the United States is a small, simple business plan. If we would just stick to it, we wouldn't get into the trouble that we are currently in. The government cannot create jobs. Never has, never will. Private enterprise has to create jobs. If you were to go to my website, howardwallack.com, you would see my 4-point plan for creating jobs. This plan can create between 1 and 2 million jobs within 12 to 14 months. I'm not good with sound bites, but I am good with practical solutions. My 4-point plan is very simple. First point is a moratorium on government regulations until we determine whether or not they're job creators or job killers. The second is for us to develop our natural resources. In Utah alone, we have more oil than they have in the entire kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We have to take and develop those natural resources. The problem is, in addition to the drilling, we also have to have pipelines and refining capacity. Right now, we don't produce all of the oil in Utah we're capable of because we don't have the refining capacity. This is a win-win-win situation. It'll take and allow us to employ people. It will put approximately $150 billion a year back into our economy and back into the pockets of our consumers. And the way I get to that number is that we use 150 billion gallons of fuel a year in this country. And since Obama took office, the price of fuel has gone up over $1 a gallon. If America becomes the producer it can be and starts to export, the price of oil will drop again in the world market, and we will go back to those kind of prices. Also, we won't be giving money to unfriendly regimes. My third point is that we have to take and change our corporate tax law for a little while. And I'm not saying we have to lower all of the taxes on corporations, but we have today between $3 and $5 trillion of corporate profits that are sitting with our multinational companies like General Motors and General Electric, and it's sitting offshore and they're never going to bring it back because of the 35% tax. I propose a 6-month window where they can bring that money back and only pay an 8% tax. And in addition, any money that they spend on building new plants and purchasing new equipment that creates jobs in America, we'll give it to them tax-free. So it's almost like they can build those plants and buy that equipment at an 8% discount. This will motivate them to do it. And this will create more of a stimulus than the entire Obama plan did, and it won't cost taxpayers a penny. My fourth, and what I think is the biggest item, is that America has always relied on the entrepreneur. Today, the entrepreneur cannot move from their basement or their garage to Main Street. And the reason is they can't get credit. It used to be you would get it from your home equity or from credit cards. Neither of those exists today where the entrepreneur can pull out enough money. So I propose a credit facility with a simple one-page application that's administered by a local banker, whereby the entrepreneur can borrow from $10,000 to $40,000 in order to expand their business by pledging their assets. Now, this is where government can help, and this is the way they can help jobs, by funding this. But it's different than other kinds of stimulus because in this case, the person who borrows the money will pay the money back, not the taxpayers. The problem with the tax code in America today is that almost half the people pay nothing. They get the benefits of living in America, but they don't pay anything. And I believe that everyone should pay something. The other problem is that there are just too many loopholes, and it seems that the people who can afford the best attorneys and the best accountants pay the least amount. We need to have a fairer, flatter tax. As a former school teacher, I can tell you one of the biggest problems in America today is our educational system. Our students no longer know how to read, write, or simple arithmetic. A big cause of this was the No Child Left Behind program. I don't want the children in Utah to get their direction from people in San Francisco, New York, or Washington, D.C. I believe that students in Utah should listen to their parents and the Utah Department of Education. The United Nations is a failure. The United States contributes 25% of the resources to the United Nations, and yet it's a sounding board for countries that hate America to speak out against it. It's failed just like the League of Nations failed prior to it. Religious law or law of foreign nations has no place in America. We need to set our own laws, and we need to follow the Constitution. Illegal immigration is an economic problem as well as a national security problem. The first thing that we have to do in this country is build the fence and close our borders. I like to say the fence is the only shovel-ready project we actually have in this country. I don't understand what part of illegal people don't understand. A criminal is a criminal, regardless of the law that they break, and they should be treated as such. Carter started the Energy Department because we were 30% dependent on foreign oil. Today we're 70%. We have a federal government that will give $10 billion to Brazil for offshore oil and not allow us to drill. We have to develop our own resources in America. We have more oil than almost the rest of the world put together if we only pull it out of the ground and out of the ocean. We need to do that. We need to build pipelines. We need to build refineries. We also need to develop other forms of energy, such as natural gas, clean burning coal, nuclear, etc. American exceptionalism comes from being self-reliant. Foreign cultures are very against this. They would like to see their people be dependent upon their government. We believe the government in this country should be dependent on the people. The biggest problem facing the U.S. is the economy. I like to relate it to a home in disrepair. The roof's leaking, there's a broken window, the back door lock is broken. Which do we fix first? Oh, I forgot to mention the house is on fire. We have to fix the fire and put that out before we can fix everything else that's wrong with America. We have problems. We need to reform the entitlement programs. We need to shrink the size of government. We need to get back on the right track. But before we can do any of that, we have to fix the economy. That, to me, is America's fire, and the liquid that will put that fire out is jobs. When our founding fathers came to America, one of the reasons they came was because of religious persecution. America has always been the land that was tolerant of all religions. The idea of separation of church and state is very simple. We get our values, we get our familyness from our religion. A state's purpose is to aid in allowing us to have the important things that we need in life. As long as they are separate, we will be able to achieve that. But remember, we were formed because of God, but God still is our personal choice and not our government's choice. Some people say that our government never ever lets a crisis go to waste. The Commerce Clause, when it was written, was pretty simple as to what it was going to handle. After the Great Depression, our Congress took it upon themselves to usurp more authority. In the work case, what they basically did was say that, oh, okay, even though that farmer was using the wheat for himself, it affected all the other wheat that was in the country. This is a horrible, horrible situation, and the Supreme Court erred and made a mistake by agreeing with it. What we need to do in this country is get back to the Constitution. The Constitution came out of compromise and the infinite wisdom of the people who understood the sacrifices and the great price we paid to form our government. We need to get back to it.